We spiral forward, grounded in our rich ancestry. Rising in unity, restoring what was taken, breaking away shackles, honoring the gifts we carry, planting seeds for generations yet unborn. Reclaiming our identity, we're weaving memory, renewing the soul of our land.
My name is Azah Mphago. I am a cultural activist, a Pan-Africanist, a sonic healer, and a transdisciplinary practitioner in the creative spaces. I'm an African, yeah. I think heritage has got to do with ways in which we revisit the past to make sense of the present by way of ritualizing the moments, the thought processes. So it is the ritual of time, I would say. Coming, from a place called Mamelodi, which means Mother of Melodies, a township in Pretoria, the capital, some 20 kilometers away from the city of Tshwane, the Pretoria's, CBD. Otherwise, Mamelodi, the memories has to do with dusty streets. The memories has got to do with the smoke coming from the chimneys. Always playing outside, spending most of the time outside. Mamelodi is a township that was created with intention of concentrating people in a camp-like, It's a place that structurally it had one exit, one entry point. It's a place where people were supposed to have not been able to cope, therefore to thrive, therefore to amount to anything structurally from the apartheid government. When the people were removed from places like Lady Selborne and so forth, they were dumped there and they were disintegrated from their livelihoods, their families. There was a kind of spiritual assault to them from their original places where they were. And so they were dumped into these places, and the biggest hope was that they would never survive. So Mamelodi for me aligns to this memory of people that are relentless, that are relentless, and people that have got a surviving spirit, So it's a place also of joy, of hope. The landscape. Once you are in Mamelodi, you will see the Mogale mountain. The word Mogale means warrior, And right there underneath, you will have the Moretele River that flows. Mamelodi, Mamelodi, Bomme bashila mabele. Borre badisha dikomu, bana baraloka kwili. Mamelodi, Mamelodi, bomme bashila mabele. Borre bahamadi komu. Bana varaloka kwele. Well, externally, the ambience, it gives you sort of, you've got like soundscapes of people that speaks. There's a certain way in which they speak very melodically, and before you even get into the music in an organized structural way, you've got this onomatopoeia, which is the ways in which then music or language informs the music, you know. So I've got specific memories of how that sound, how the voice of that magogo or the auntie from the neighborhood speaks, you know, the kind of lullabies and the kind of the sounds in the shebins. But from my own home, of course, which is the home of healers, I've got this daunting sound of the drum in the midweek when I've got an exam the next morning, and people dancing the whole night, and this then informs my first encounter with music, of course in an informal, you know, thing, but then my affinity with the drum, I'm exposed to the smell of the gold. Oh my God. I'm exposed to healers back then with cracked feet and with brown headgear and the smell of boloko. Oh my God, I tell you. I have these memories of slaughtered chicken and goat screaming, and somehow it, in the beginning, at least in the early stages, it brought a lot of shock and terror when the spirit was, you know, idlozi malvuka. Yo, that wave that you hear it, you know. These are the sounds that informs my upbringing. Because of being born in a home of spirituality and by extension cultural awareness, so my first socialization is awareness of the environment, is awareness of the trees, is awareness of the times, the spiritual calendars, what time is it, what happens in the space. I'm therefore then elevated into the kind of consciousness with the surrounding. And by that, I would have to then also partake in certain cultural activities. I would then become aware of the language, the tradition, the music, the celebrations, and so forth. And just by even participating in that, I sort of also I grew up to started wanting to protect the existence of such. So by default, then that becomes cultural activism. When I want to see certain things happening during that set. So if they don't happen, then I get worried. I get worried when certain songs are not being sung at a certain time. So that's how I became culturally active over time. Yeah. I think I imagine I imagine the mission to be to always acquire relevance in remembrance and reimagination and projection of Afrofuturism. So the manner in which I've been exposed to this sound, at some point when I started wanting to own a drum of my, I had to use a makeshift creation of whatever that was there. So it means I had to recycle material, and in doing that, it was finding creative ways to use what was old to repurpose it. And with that is the same approach with the sound, because I have to revisit former memory, like the memory of childhood, the sounds that I grew up hearing, the styles which were there, whether be it mbacanga, whether be it jive, whatever that existed in that time, I have to now reimagine it with the current sonic modalities that are existing now. So again, it's like ethnographically looking at instrumentation to say there has been certain instruments which were maybe pre-harmonic and simpler, maybe in design. How can I incorporate that with now? Now we are more or less in the digital, space. How can I get this sound to be incorporated with what we have, the kind of tools, to bring a sort of like a hybrid sound kind of like thing. But for the future also, I'm imagining that my sound would have to evolve where I incorporate things like hologram, virtual reality and so forth. So I'm always imagining myself as a progressive creative, that I'm never stuck or never owned by one memory of time. I'm self-critical to not be stuck. My greatest school of thought is called Malombo music, and by extension, Malombo music means music wadingaka. But my mentor, Dr. Philip Tabane, may his soul rest in peace, he created the Malombo sound from the traditional spiritual sound, and he modernized it then in the 50s when he started. So me having to go through that initiation, it means that I've had to also create some kind of progression. So I'm imagining it, I'm reimagining it for the contemporary time, but I'm also projecting it into the future. Because I imagine, for an example, if you look at the spiritual things that we use, like for the drums that we have, in the Manjomanis or whatever, it has moved from using the tree to using the can, right? So that is the evolution of the drum, and you can imagine in the future it would have to be something completely different, and the sound as well. But what we have to then ask ourselves is, how will that affect the spirituality? So with every evolution of sound, spirituality is reinterpreted. So from a part of my work now is to try and think, to say, with this evolution, will we not find ourselves being compromised? How can we safeguard the integrity of our spiritual works, where else we are open to the changes that comes with the aesthetics of the spiritual music practice or healing music practice that we have. So the project Batswadi is the inaugural project, and then it is followed then by Ngoma Zamapungube, right, which is the second to that, and then within that there is a project yet to be released called Badzimu, which is a collaboration with Omasosa, which features legends like Mani Dubangu and Christian Scots and so forth. Now I am recording another album called Joe, and Joe, you know, it's like when Joe, like you know, type of thing. So all of these projects, the story is the same, but in celebrating these spiritual timelines, these cosmologies, I'm also interrogating who we've been through different timelines. How did we become who we are? And in the mission of my creative practice, I always say that we want to play music until playing is no more, but what remains is becoming better people. And by that, what I'm saying that we have to reimagine ourselves outside of the confinements of white encounter. You know what I mean? So the music is not who we are, it's an extension of who we are, by which then we can be able to redefine ourselves in line with who we were before the white encounter. You know, we were so much more. And with that comes this notion of before we were Zulu, we were first Batu. And with Batu comes this deep notion of Butu. So, Ubuntu is a qualitative process, meaning that it is based on the quality of a person, that you can be relegated to a ghost one day just because of how you behave, or you could ascend to be Mutu. And when we say Mutu, it's when intercollectively you are one with your surrounding, but more importantly, you are one with God. You understand? So that is when Maktiwa lo umuntu, that's what we are saying, because not only do you now exist for yourself, but you have mastered the ascendant so much more that your existence speaks to the harmony in nature. Even the trees will feel the loss from your departure, but we know that your value surpasses just even an understanding of a modern time, because your existence connects us to who we once were, but also your existence connects us to the trees, to the animals. Once even you transcend into this part, the people in the other world will smell, and they will benefit from your scent. They'll benefit from your warmth, because you have lived a fulfilling life. The passing of a person who have reached this ascendance of Mutu is a celebratory one, because yes, it's a loss on one hand, but those who are ready to welcome you are celebrating, because you are like refined wine, and they can't wait to partake with you and to hear the stories of how you have done it, and because even yonder you will continue to be a blessing, because people will get healed just from the memory. I'm saying that when people think of the human being that you were walking this, they get healed. They can consult with their memory and get healing from they can elicit healing just from thinking about you.